This week on the Spike and Jones podcast.
Today on the Spike and Jones podcast, it's a serious world out there, so we want to lighten the mood and talk about death.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is Spike and Jones.
Sarah was...
As in Danny and Sarah?
Danny and Sarah.
Yeah, Sarah sounded like crap yesterday.
Yeah, so she breathed all over the microphones and then went home. So I'm pretty sure that my chest mung that I'm going to warm up here is the direct result of Sarah coming to work and breathing on.
So you got a little Sarah smile going on.
I do. I got a little Sarah's beaver dust on me, but that's okay because I did that to them. You know, I came in here and got sick on them.
Oh, that's great. I know. I mean, I get it. I've heard the radio show. I get it. But still, that's great.
I know. It just sounds horrible, doesn't it? Really, really does. It's embarrassing.
Oh my goodness. So, you know, let's pick up where we left off a couple weeks ago, which is we were talking about that new Netflix show, Altered Carbon.
Right, which I have not seen.
Okay.
Still to this day.
So I went home that night and pulled it up and watched the first episode and went, what did I just watch? And then I watched the second episode and said, what did I just watch? And then I watched the third episode and said, what did I just watch?
Really?
And as I turned on the fourth episode, I realized I don't like this.
Really?
Yeah. It's just so pointlessly convoluted. In other words, first of all, there's the visual stimulation. There's the constant wow factor. Look what I can do, basically, on the screen.
Okay, so it's just it's a masturbatory exercise.
Absolutely. And on top of that, it's written in a way that it's a head scratcher. It's designed to be a head scratcher, right?
Yeah.
Where you're not necessarily seeing the person that you're seeing. In other words, the identity of the person is different than the physical of the person. So the main character's name is Takeshi. He's Japanese, but it's a tall, white Norwegian guy.
Right, because he was repurposed.
Exactly.
Okay.
And so it's just full of, red herrings. And my wife and I, on the fourth episode, I mean, we about 10 minutes in, I started looking at my phone, and she goes, "You don't like this?" And I go, "I haven't liked this." So we actually turned it off, and then we were thinking we'd just watch the last episode to see kind of like who dies.
Go to the last page of the book, and the whale wins. Okay,
exactly.
Great, thanks.
Yeah, but we didn't. We didn't even do that. We're not even wasting our time with that.
Really?
Yeah, it was super disappointing.
I'm sorry to hear that.
Yeah, so I haven't done anything cool at all except basically sleep, and but I've been coaching a whole bunch partially thanks to you.
Really? Coaching Little League basketball?
No, coaching. Come on now.
I know.
Coaching professionals.
Yeah.
It's been a good thing. So I've really found some significant identity in that, and that's a good thing.
Good for you. It's your calling.
Yeah, it is.
You're an elevator.
I'm a people person.
I'm
an elevator. I love people. So,
loving an elevator. It's you.
We have very, very sadly limited time
We
today.
do, and I apologize for being late to you, and you're leaving me early, and it's
it's
an
no
interesting thing.
But you said this week, because we haven't done a Deep Six in quite some time,
much too long,
and we actually have a number of fans. I actually spoke to a gentleman last night who told me he downloaded all 30 plus of our podcasts.
Wow, and
said, you guys are insanely awesome, and I'm going to tell everybody about us, which was great. So thank you, Michael. We are, what are we on today? You said...
I said we should talk about mortality.
Mortality. Now, didn't we kind of touch on this a year and a half ago or something?
You would know better. We should call that guy who's downloaded all 30 podcasts and see if we covered this prior.
Well, because we always end up talking a little bit about spirituality, a little bit about family, what's coming, if anything,
right.
What are we afraid of, all that stuff.
Well, the reason I asked about this topic is our family suffered a horrific tragedy in the last week.
Yeah.
I don't know if you heard about that.
I saw it on Facebook.
Yes, I did post something. A dear friend of ours who my wife is still in love with, I swear. This was her first boyfriend. Mm-hmm. It's one of four brothers that her family grew up with, and they've been friends since they were in kindergarten. His 28-year-old son was an avid snowmobiler The kind of kid that was, if he wanted to be a professional snowmobiler, he could have. And is that a thing? I know, right?
I think it is.
He had sponsors.
Wow.
He would film videos and post them, and there are snowmobile magazines and whatnot that he was, featured in on a regular basis.
Mm-hmm.
And he was at Mount Baker last weekend, and he caused an avalanche. He caused an avalanche.
Yeah, he cut the.
It was
the top.
determined, and it caught him and took him.
Wow.
And so that kind of put things, at least in my mind, it gave me a real slap in the time, in the clock there. My hourglass got cracked.
Yeah.
And I thought about how death has been a part of my life as long as I can remember.
Right.
In so much that my dad passed away, my biological father passed away when I was 8. And that's something that a little kid, you become immensely aware that it's a massive thing. My parents were divorced when I was little, so my mom had already remarried, and we would spend, split time weekends with my dad. And he had already remarried and had a son, a younger brother from my dad's second marriage. And my dad was sick my whole life, I think.
Really?
Yeah, he had stomach cancer. He had liver issues. He was an Irish bartender. Of course he had liver issues. And he went to the hospital for a complication from his cancer, stomach cancer, and he had liver failure, and he passed away when I was 8. So, I don't know if that's an inoculation to loss when you lose a parent that young.
Yeah.
It kind of you were forced to realize that life goes on.
Right.
Without the ones that you love.
A little bit of spiritual rape right off the bat.
Yeah, but it also, I think it hardens you, if not, and I don't mean that in a victimizational sense.
Right.
It just says, okay, yeah, sun still came up, people still love me, I've still got friends, I still get toys at Christmas.
Yeah.
The things that matter to a kid.
Yeah, I guess, but
but I had a dad, I had a stepdad, and so. It wasn't like I was then raised in a single parent home, which is kind of probably, had the biggest impact on our society. Our world is, I think, lack of parental guidance.
Oh, absolutely. That's what's going on right now.
That's why we're where we're at.
Yeah.
Of course, I'm against assault weapons, but that's not the problem.
No, it's
they be killing people with butter knife.
Cartoons.
It is afternoon cartoons. It's
telling
that fucking
you.
Roadrunner.
And
the coyote.
It's the absentee parent. It's just easier to sit your kid down, and especially nowadays with Netflix and everything. There's this cornucopia of entertainment. You don't know what your kids are seeing,
right?
And the thing is kids know it's out there.
Yeah,
it's not like. Oh, sorry, I don't mean to interrupt.
No. When there were 3 channels, you pretty much keep an eye on what your kid was seeing.
And
when there were 500,
you didn't have access to porn and violence and all these things.
Well, 1,000 channels, 1,000 internet, YouTube channels.
Yeah.
You can find anything. Kids come in and they know how to get it.
Anything.
Yeah.
Last night I thought my daughter was in bed. Mm-hmm. And the boys were already in bed, and I'm a nerd. I'm a movie nerd, and so I love to watch behind the scenes stuff. Mm-hmm. And so last night, for some reason, I was watching a behind the scenes outtakes on that super violent scene in RoboCop where the guy gets killed by Ed 209, gets shot on the table like 9 million times.
Yeah.
And I'm watching that, and I hear this shuffle sound behind me, and it's my daughter, and she's like, and I'm like, oh my God,
she's watching that.
Yeah. And I go, Cadence, what are you doing? What are you, you know what I mean? And then I actually not only felt bad as a parent, but then I thought, why am I watching it? Really, when you get down to it, how is this okay for me, actually?
Right.
I'm so clearly desensitized that I look at it and actually laugh. And granted, it's supposed to be an over-the-top funny scene.
You've also got an awareness in your maturity and your experiences of life that you're watching cinematography.
Sure.
A kid who sees that doesn't draw that distinction.
No.
She just sees the finished and the painfully realistically, finished product to that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a bad over.
I know. It's like, of all the scenes she had to actually stare over the banister, it was that. Yeah. And I look at her and I go, honey, you know what you just saw is not real, right? And I hear her going up the stairs. She goes, yeah, I get it. She's 6. She's 6.
Oh my God! Will she hurry up and grow up and be president, please?
Yes,
we need her.
She would be an incredible president.
Oh my God! Of course, she is going to be an incredible president.
Every once in a while, she'd get up from her desk and she'd just twirl.
Nice,
with her long hair hitting you in the face
in the Oval Office. That'd be good. The ambassadors looking at each other like, relax, give her a minute. She's digesting information.
Oprah's still alive because we've injected her with some weird medicine.
With stem cells.
Yes.
Of unborn puppies.
From the space shuttle.
Yes.
She came home from.
Wow.
Yeah, that was tough.
We lost Stephen Hawking this week.
Yeah.
And here's a mind that was just beyond comprehension of how intellectual this guy, how intelligent this guy was, how much he could grasp.
Yeah.
How much he could wrap that big ass brain around.
Yeah.
We said on the air, the Earth got a little dumber today.
Yeah, it's true. There was if I can interrupt with one thing though, there was this hilarious meme. Granted, I knew this was coming, and it makes Christians look bad because Stephen Hawking was a notorious atheist, right? I mean, just loved. I don't say rubbed it in. He's just like, look, I don't believe in God,
right.
And there was this great meme that came out yesterday that people put on my page that said, Stephen Hawking, 2015, I don't believe in God, and then God, 2018, I don't believe in Stephen Hawking.
I saw that one. I saw a post from God's Twitter. I'm using air quotes. God's Twitter account.
Yeah.
It took Stephen Hawking's 8 minutes to prove to me I didn't exist.
It's great.
Nate and I were talking when Stephen Hawking passed, and it's like he's just bing bong around the universe right now.
Yep.
See, told you.
Yep.
I knew it.
Yep.
I called it.
In his wheelchair.
Yep, I called it. No, I said no. Now he's been released.
Oh, he's been released from his earthly chains.
Right. And I said, he's probably David Hasselhoff now, running down the beach in slow motion, man. And they said, no, man, he's Pamela Anderson. and he's looking down as he runs in slow motion. Yeah.
It's like, I admire me.
Did you see the Stairway to Heaven? And at the foot of it,
it's the wheelchair.
Stephen Hawking's wheelchair is like, shit.
Yeah, there's a couple of silly ones out there. Yeah, I mean, no matter what, who doesn't, it goes back to the love for people. No matter what you believe, no matter what you wish other people didn't believe, or no matter what you wish they would believe, right, depending on your perspective, it's all about people. And if we just love people where we're at, we're going to lose everybody.
Yeah,
right?
Even if you do it right.
Yeah, we're going to lose everybody.
Life ends one way.
My dad, as he passed away a few years ago, and a couple of days ago, I have this big thing about Facebook now. I don't really care about what's going on in Facebook anymore. I now care about the things I did in Facebook like 8 years ago because they have that on this day feature. 2
years ago today, yeah.
Yeah, and 2 years ago, what was it? 5 years ago, it was yesterday, I think. It was a post I put that said, hey, Dad's out of surgery, looks good. I'm glad to have him. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
that whole thing.
Yeah.
And it obviously it's touching, but I said, I posted it again and I said, well, at least we got him for 3 more years, which was great. And it really did make me think about this mortality thing, which is, I can sit here, let's say I have cancer today, and I can either choose to take, a chemotherapy medicine or some sort of therapy, or I can not. Either way, I'm going to die eventually. Which one will speed it up? Which one will slow it down?
Right.
And I can believe in God, and I can believe that God would want me to stay around longer. But the fact is no matter how hard any of you guys pray for me, I'm still gonna die.
Right.
There's no such thing as intervening. I'm not saying that this as a Christian guy. I'm not saying this as a things, prayer doesn't work. That's not what I mean. But I don't understand how prayer works.
Okay.
Meaning, if I believe that God is real, and I believe that I'm going to pray for you, Spike, because I don't want you to die from testicular cancer, right?
Yeah.
That's not going to change the fact that someday you're just going to pass away, whether it's that, or something else. And granted, you don't have that, but you get what I'm saying.
I do. The end game is that we all perish.
Yeah.
But the question is, how do you live?
Almost why?
Yeah. Why?
I think about that. Why do we live? Why?
Well, why? How do you live? Why do you live? What does life mean to you?
Yeah.
The question of mortality. I lost my mom 4 years ago.
Yeah, I'm so sorry.
And I
can still see it on your face.
There's a zillion regrets, of wasted opportunities and wasted time.
Yeah.
And it should be that way. Well, I won't say that, but it is that way with everybody you lose. And it should be that you wanted more time with all of them.
Yeah.
I mean, I thank goodness I had just as much time as I wanted to with my mom, dad, aunt, uncle,
it was just enough.
son.
Phew.
Yeah, that should never be the case. You should always want more. You talk about, would you choose to fight cancer?
Yeah.
My uncle passed away, and my uncle watched my aunt fight cancer for 10 years. And she was a nurse, and they diagnosed her. We've talked about this, I think, in the past. They diagnosed her with a vicious case of sinus cancer.
Mm.
And this thing was like, it had no prognosis of recovery.
Right.
Zero. And it's like, oh, well, it's not much we can do. And my aunt's like, no, you'll do this, 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 and this. And she was a nurse. Mm-hmm. She's like, you nuke it. You go. You give me everything you got as much as you can.
Yeah.
And she had 10 years.
Yeah.
And after they did the surgery, she lost some hearing, or the treatments. But the treatments were brutal. But they had a good 5-7 years together after that.
It was a tough 10 years, but it was still 10 years.
But then at the end, because cancer's when you beat cancer, it figures out how you beat it, and it comes back with a better battle plan.
Right.
Most people who beat cancer have cancer come back and take them.
Yeah.
I mean, it's
Yeah.
People don't beat
you won
cancer
this round.
Right. People don't beat cancer and then die of old age.
Right.
So when cancer came back and got her, and she perished, my Aunt Joanne, my Uncle Tom moved out here to be with Kevin, my brother, and I. Because he had no kids and we were his kids, and he moved out here to be close to us. Because having relocated to the West Coast, I saw my uncle every other year if I was lucky. And I loved this man with all my heart. He moved out here, and a year after he moved here, he was diagnosed with cancer, with a bad diagnosis. Mm-hmm. And he made the choice not to fight. Mm. He said, look, I know how that goes. I know what that feels like. I know what that it does to families. I know what people go through. He goes, you know what? It's been a wonderful run. I'm just going to let it go.
Pull the cord.
I'll have the time I have. And I'm within 100 days of diagnosis, he was gone.
Wow.
So, and I don't mean to be, I don't mean to drag the whole mood down here, but I started thinking about.
This is a comedy podcast.
I know. Stephen Hawking jokes.
Yeah, no. Seriously, keep going, please. It's important.
And our friend lost his son.
Yeah, it's awful.
You start thinking about, I don't know how much. I got a teenage daughter. You got young kids.
Yeah.
I am not taking care of myself like I should be.
No, I was thinking the same thing.
Come on. Yeah. I had a heart scare 5 years ago. I had the widowmaker. Kevin Smith last month had the widowmaker.
Yep.
I had the same thing.
Wow.
I had a complete 100% blockage in one artery, 75 in two others. Mm. They found it in time, put stents in 3 of my arteries. 3 in one in 2 others.
Maybe that's why I'm tired.
It very well could be.
Wow.
But, you start thinking about, look, you've got so much time, and that's a selfish perspective. How much time do I have with these people? How much time will they have with me?
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. They want the same thing.
They do, but I have things to do. I've got responsibilities. I've got to look at it from that perspective. Yeah. I can't look at it from a selfish, how much time do I want? I've got to look at it from how much time do they need? What do they need from me? I can't abuse this and waste this. And I'm sorry to get, but I've been needing to have this conversation with myself.
This is good.
And I know, and I've been feeling for the last year that I need to have this conversation with myself. And losing our friend Luke really hit home for me.
Yeah.
I've if I do care and love my family, then I've got a responsibility. And I can't be so selfish with thinking, oh well, maybe I won't get the time I want. What if I don't get to do the things I need to do? And this ain't a ball of laughs right now in this room, and I apologize to you folks at home, but it ain't all beer and Skittles. The world's getting scarier every day.
Yeah.
But we all have the power to completely flip that script.
True.
We do. You do. I know you do. You are a light in this world. You are. And I, from a selfish perspective, I kind of hope I am too.
I would say you're pretty amazing.
You're very sweet and perceptive.
I'm a truth teller.
Yeah, well, good.
And I'm way more humble than you.
Well, yeah, you are. See how we did that? He had hit me with it hard, but it got
I had
through.
to like point at him and point at myself.
See what I did that?
That's what we do here.
So that being said, now that we got we pulled the scab off.
Oh God.
If you will, of my thoughts on mortality, I'd like to make sure I use this gift.
Yeah.
To not just meet my responsibilities, but make every day.
Yeah.
I want to make sure I do that. I want to make sure that I want to walk my daughter down the aisle.
Yeah.
I can't imagine
see a grandchild.
not being, yeah. And with my older daughter, the way she's living her life, it's going to be the little one I have to wait for a grandkid. And
it better be another 20 years.
Yeah. No, I'm with you. Well, yeah. Please, 15 each at least. My older girl is painfully single by choice. She has no.
She lives in like the greatest city in the world.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't she be? If
Exactly.
She could be?
Exactly. She is. I was that way. I was 26 when I moved to Seattle.
Yeah.
And like eternally single, committed to single, full on single. Mm. And then I met my bride to be, and it just fell into wonderful. Mm-hmm. And hey, why don't we get married? Okay.
Nice.
She asked. She's like, my wife.
You were the okay.
She's totally. She totally snared my ass. So smart. My wife's so much smarter than me. We were going back east to see family for Christmas, and she had been back east to meet my family a year earlier, and we were going to go back for Christmas. And she's like, "Yeah, well, since we're going back there, and all your family's there, and you're from such a big family and friends, and I really only have a few couple. Why don't we get married while we're there? It's because they'll already be there. That's a good idea." And just like that, I was married.
Wow.
And I said, I'm like, God damn, that was smart. She's smarter than me.
I want to, if I can, I want to talk about something too that occurred to me this week about the mortality thing. So for listeners of our show here, some of you may know that my brother lost his, I call her his spouse. They were actually never married, but they were together forever, and they had been engaged forever, that sort of thing. And my brother lost her the very end of August of last year. I want to say August 30th or something like that. And to this day, my brother has not recovered. He literally, for whatever reason, you can call him weak, you can say it's pathetic, whatever people want to say, but the reality is he has not yet even remotely recovered. It's like she died yesterday.
Wow.
And that's really tough. And my brother struggles with a few things, some substance abuse and whatnot, and of course that sadness, it needs a avenue. It needs a a release, and so he's not doing well.
Right. And where is he?
He's in Florida.
Okay.
The land of,
where no one does well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. The land of sinkholes and the Antichrist.
America's appendix.
Yeah.
It really is.
America's duodenum.
Yeah, right. And it's been inflamed for so long. Why won't we just have the surgery?
It's leaking.
Right. Just have the surgery, America.
That's great. When you make me laugh today, I can't stop. Okay. So I've been
when you lose the love of your life, it's not something you just bounce back from.
Yeah.
But it's not just he's not found someone else, he's not found himself.
Yeah. Yeah, that's it's awful. And I call him because I don't know what to do.
Right.
I don't know what to say.
And it's easier not to call.
Yes.
It is, because it's a painful thing for you too, not knowing what to say. You want to help, you don't know how.
Yeah, and then the things you think apply to you, like, well, I would do this. They don't apply at all.
Right.
And so I kind of almost didn't want him to pick up the phone the other day.
Okay.
I just thought I wanted to call him, let him know
you're thinking about him.
leave a message and kind of skate.
Been there.
Because honestly, the last couple of weeks, that's what's happened. He hasn't answered the phone, and he hasn't called back. And I know it's because he's in this haze, in this world. Right?
Is he alone down there?
He is.
No family at all?
No.
Wow.
Well, he made the choice to go there.
No.
I
I hear you. I hear you.
Yeah, we're all here. He literally said, "Hey, where's the farthest I can go?"
Been there too.
You know,
that's why I think I'm in Seattle.
You know, and we originally thought, because my brother's an asthmatic, we originally thought that it was because maybe Florida would be a better environment. Yeah, right. It's not a desert environment. You need a dry environment,
you need
not a
southwest,
wet.
not
Right,
southeast.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So
not swamp.
That's not it. And on top of that, he smokes. So, you know, he's just got a death wish. Okay,
Right.
It's just the way it is. It's just reality. But all that said, when Kathy passed, it's just been chaos for him, and he hasn't recovered yet. So I called him, and then after like 7 rings, he answers, and I'm like, oh, great. Now I got to talk to him. What am I going to say? And I just thought, I'll just tell him I love him, and it's just going to have to, I just wanted you to know I was thinking of you. And then, we kind of had this okay conversation that just kind of went sideways for a while.
Yeah.
And then some of that emotion stuff started to kick in, where his emotional state started to be revealed. My desire to help him fix it based on what I thought would be a good idea starts to come out. And then emotions ramp up because he's starting to take what I'm saying personally, like as in an affront.
Right.
And so we backed off, and I was like, Mike, look, just don't let your pride get in the way of people helping you. That's all I'm saying. You know what I mean? Just please don't do that. The one thing you can control is that, But we talked about the fact that it's been so hard to release her, because even though we both agree that it's not like she's sitting up in heaven going, oh, Mike's having fun without me. That's not cool. You know what I mean?
Right.
There's this weird thing that we all do as people left behind, who say, I feel guilty surviving. I feel guilty enjoying this moment in the company of my friends, or even a new girlfriend. Oh my God, God forbid that, right? It's that whole idea of going on.
Yeah.
It feels, like you've betrayed them, Yeah. And that's a tough nut. But here's the whole point: is he was talking about my father passing away, and obviously how that was tough on him, and then losing Kathy the following year. And then he was trying to compare, and I thought it was really, really pretty good. He said, the thing that's different between Mom and I is that Mom had Dad for 52 years, and they got to grow old together, and they got to have kids together, and they got to have grandchildren together, and they got to retire together, and they got to garden together. And yes, it's not my situation's worse. It's not the case. I know Mom is desperately missing my father, all those things. He said, but they had a life. They had what I call the life, right? The traditional life that I'd never had. And I'll never have that. And part of me wanted to judge him and say, well, but that's not fair, because you also made the choices you made.
Right.
But he's got a point. And
well, it's one thing to feel lost.
Yeah.
It's another thing to feel cheated.
Yeah, and that's what he feels. He feels both.
Well,
of them. And he feels like
it's
a personal vendetta.
Something that the Lord is throwing him a shit sandwich.
Well, I don't think that he doesn't have any. He's not a faith guy.
Okay.
I mean, the black sheep. No, but I mean,
I know. I do know.
So but he's not. He's just, that's not his thing. And okay, you know what I mean. So of course he doesn't want to hear it from that perspective either, right? And I totally get that. And I, I just said, Mike, I just love you. And he says, well, would you come visit me? And he goes, I'll buy your ticket. I just want to see somebody.
Yeah.
So I think I'm going to go down to Florida.
Yeah, you are.
Yeah. I've actually never been there. Never been to Florida. I've never been. My brother's lived in Florida for 22 years. I've never ever visited Florida.
Get your shots first.
Yeah.
Where are you going? What part?
Tampa.
He's in Tampa? My mom.
Yeah.
God.
I know.
My dad's in Tampa with his new wife.
Oh yeah.
My sister and
Jamie says hello wherever.
Yeah. No, I hear you.
But
no, Tampa's cool. But it's Florida. Hot, flat, dull. It's Florida. It's.
I gotta lose weight
before you go to Florida.
Yeah.
We're about having a beach bod.
Well, that's not going to happen.
Siesta Key.
That's definitely not going to happen.
St. Pete.
But I was thinking, if I go down there, Mike said, "Hey, maybe we can do Busch Gardens or something like that." I was like, "Yeah,
Rollercoaster time." Yeah,
because
is that something you shared with him?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So we'll see. We'll see.
No, don't see. Go. You know, I know. I believe me. It's easy to cast. My regrets. It's don't do what I did, Ebenezer.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. It's mortality. We only got so much.
Yeah.
You might be just the light he needs to see, and will he come up here?
He's talked about it, but he
I mean,
has his business. I mean, he's a sole proprietor. It's not, and he doesn't have the personality to trust people to take his business.
What's he do?
He owns a window cleaning house, extra home maintenance.
Oh yeah, in Florida, you bet.
He has a lot of skyscraper accounts, which is cool. I've always kind of wanted to check it out. What's that like?
Yeah, cool.
So I might do that.
Go climb a building with him.
Jump off the
That'd
side.
be killer,
thing.
man. Yeah,
yeah. But
when I say killer, I don't wish you ill will.
Yeah.
I want you to come back.
Yeah.
But that'd be great.
Yeah, I think it'd be nice, but there's a potential cool caveat with this as well. Is do you know who Ian Buchanan is? So he's an actor. He was on I want to say General Hospital for like 30 years.
Okay.
And he was also in Twin Peaks.
Okay.
He's one of the beautiful people.
I know exactly who you're talking about.
He's just beautiful.
Yeah,
he's like 65 now, and he's
I know.
just so unfairly handsome, and he's got
exactly
the
who you
perfect
mean.
Scottish
Yep,
brogue.
Yep, I know exactly who you mean.
Okay, so Ian told me yesterday that he's going to be on my podcast.
Nice.
On my other, because I cheat on you every once in a while.
Sure, you should. I'm not giving you what you need. It's my fault, not yours.
$30 a month, Spike. So anyway, he said, "Well, yeah, I would love to be on the show," and I said, "Great. We could do it on Skype, or we could do it in person." And I don't know why I said it that way, because I would love to see him.
Sure,
right? And he goes, "Well, I'm going to be in LA until May," and I was thinking, why don't I stop in LA on my way to see my brother? And then
it's completely out of the way, but I get it.
No, but I mean, it'll actually probably save me $100 because I have that one of those dumb out of the way layovers.
Yeah. You take one leg to LA, stay a night.
Yeah.
Next morning, finish your trip to Tampa.
Yeah, because I have a buddy who's a sound editor, one of the big Hollywood sound editors, and I know he'll let me stay at his house, and so
nice.
So basically outside of a car rental for a day, and I'll go out to Malibu and see Ian.
There you go.
And
that'd be cool.
That would be cool.
You dip your toes in a couple oceans.
Yeah.
You could hit the Pacific, the Gulf, and you could even pop over the Atlantic if you're.
So I just realized basically I'm pilfering the opportunity to see my brother by using Ian Buchanan as an excuse, and then on top of that, I told myself I better get fit. I don't want to look like a fat idiot.
Yeah. Well, you know what?
You know what I mean? So it's motivation too.
What's the bad part of any of that?
Yeah.
Nothing.
No, I know. I got to get better too.
Yeah, but it's not like saying, boy, I got to put on 50 pounds before I go to Florida.
This is the only place I want to
fit in. I want to fit into Florida, so I'm going to buy some sandals and some dark socks. Get a pony nub going.
Cracker Barrel gift certificate.
Oh, my God.
Oh, the South is such an interesting place.
Yeah, the land that time forgot.
Yeah.
It really is.
Yeah. I think they're still listening to old Bryan Adams hits down there.
They wish.
Molly Hatchet. Everything I do, I do for you. So, look, we have very, very limited time. We got about 10 minutes. So not that we've been on track today, because we clearly haven't, and it was all sad for the last 20 minutes. And I'm really sorry about your friend's loss, and I really mean that. I know you. Not that it has to be exaggerated, but it's awful.
I hear you.
It's an awful frickin' thing.
Well, it's just it's not even. We have no idea how to feel.
No.
It's when somebody that young, that alive.
Yeah.
Is just, all of a sudden in an instant.
Yeah.
In an instant.
Yeah.
It's like, you don't know. You're numb. You're blindsided.
Yeah.
So, but maybe the gift from a horrific, incident like this is to realize that, hey, it's cliche time.
Yeah.
Nothing. Tomorrow's not guaranteed.
Yeah.
Every day's a gift.
Tomorrow's not guaranteed, and anybody else you love either. You know what I mean?
No,
yeah.
Right.
My buddy, I'm going to leave their names off here, but I believe I had mentioned this previously, where a very well-known radio personality lost her son to suicide last year.
Yeah.
And my close friend is, her ex, and so it's their child. And that is an extraordinary, awful thing that you can't, not obviously you not only cannot fathom, but there's no even if there are warning signs, you don't see them. You never see him.
No.
He could have come home every day and say, "Mom, I want to kill myself." And you'd be like, "Yeah, right." In your brain, that's because nobody can who's not in that space can imagine that that's the truth.
Right.
You know.
Completely right.
But just man, love your kids, hug your wife, hug your brother. You know, tell everybody you love them. Don't stop. I mean, when you get down to it, I say this all the time. When you're laying on your deathbed, if you actually have a chance to have a deathbed. Mm-hmm. You're not going to give a crap about your cool car, but you're sure as hell going to be very sad you're leaving your family.
Yeah. Nobody wishes they spent more time at work.
Yeah.
You know?
Although I do like driving a nice car. I'm not going to lie. Honey, I love you.
Yeah.
You know? I said something years ago on my birthday, and I was trying to be snarky, and I don't remember exactly how I said it, but basically I said, if my family were to die in a car accident, mm-hmm. I would probably move to Alaska and live in an unnamed valley. If my family died any other way than a car accident, I'd probably move to Montana. What can I say? I like glaciers. Okay, that was silly.
Yeah, good. Need a little fat dose of silly.
So, how do we end this today? And are we going to get together more often?
Yes, I hope so. Okay. I mean,
can I get my records back while we're at it?
Are those yours? Oh, you break up bastard! Those weren't yours. We bought those together.
It's the Tubes, Kansas, and the Bay City Rollers.
You're not getting the Bay City Rollers back. Somebody left me a stack of albums.
Yeah,
we played a party last weekend. The band that played a station event called Whiskey Rocks.
Yep.
And it was very successful. We sold it out. Great crowd on hand. The band played superbly at the show. So and it was the first time our new management really had seen the band in person and playing. And it's a weird little gig because it's not it's not a concert hall. It's not a theater. It's not it's not even a bar. Mm-hmm. It's the terrace level at Safeco Field. But they put up a real stage, and they have a real sound guy. We had 1,000 people on site, and it's a very migratory event.
Yeah,
strewn out from first base to third base on the middle level of Safeco Field. Right. So it's a lot of walking around of a narrow corridor. You've all been in a corridor of a stadium, but where the stage was, there's room for a crowd to gather, and we had them elbow to elbow from the minute we started till the minute we ended.
That's awesome,
and we played great. And the management said, "Oh, okay, you guys." You're not a cover band. You're a concert band.
Really?
Okay. Yeah. I mean, the powers that be here really. Yeah. It was a moment to show them, hey, this is an asset. You guys, you're not doing us a favor by putting us in front of your crowds. We're doing you a favor by putting us in front of your crowds.
Wow.
Not to be stroking my balls.
No, that's awesome.
But some lady left me a big sack of albums. We're in the middle of the set, and it's a song. I think Susan was singing a song, or maybe Lynn was singing. So I was on the side of the stage. And he's like, "Here, I brought these for you." And I'm like, "Okay, great. This is, speaking of albums, you brought up albums, and I kind of just set them down, and okay, and I got to go back up, and I left them at the event.
Oh
no, our engineer grabbed them. Jay's fabulous.
Good.
You met Jay? He's fabulous.
Yeah.
Jay Bell. Don't hire him away from our company. I'll hunt you down and kill you.
No, that's a great guy.
So he brings me to the studio, and I look through him, and I'm like, there's some pretty cool records in there. Some old Stevie Wonder, some Bowie, some really cool stuff in there. Right. And there's like a lot of Barbra Streisand. I said to Nate, this is some great albums in here. There's Changes by David Bowie. Here's an original copy of the Doors' first record. Here's Stevie Wonder album that's I haven't heard in years. And there's enough Barbra Streisand to get me through a sex change operation and my full recovery. And most of them were double albums, so we got almost a whole joint out of it too. So it was
wow.
Really, but vinyl's always just cool.
It is.
Vinyl's cool, and vinyl's making a comeback. Steve Slayton, it's Turntable Tuesdays.
Really?
At KZOK, yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, it was so funny when we came to the new building, the new iHeartRadio complex
where we currently
/ dentist office, because that's what it feels like in this freaking place.
That's a nice studio.
It's a great building, a great studio, great engineers, the latest in modern broadcast technology. Mm-hmm. I could do the whole show from this board in this little satellite production room, and the way the system is set up. I could do any station. I could log on right now to any station we own, open a microphone, and chat inside of a Miley Cyrus record if I wanted to.
Really?
I really could.
You could blast. You could blast somebody right now.
Anything.
On the other side of the country too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's crazy, the technology. So when they picked up CBS's properties of like with Jack FM and 1090 The Fan and KMPS, they didn't get KMPS, but and KZOK. We had like turntables and cart machines. And for you folks that don't know anything about radio and broadcasting, cart machines are 8 tracks that self cue. There's about a minute and a half worth of tape on an 8-track, and it runs and stops immediately. You set a cue tone that re-cues it every time. All the commercials used to be put on carts. You get your commercial log and you pick out the carts you needed from a spinning rack, put them in, and then start them all manually as they were supposed to play. That's how radio used to work. And they laughed at us when we had all this old antique tape machines, splicing tape and razor blades. They
What do
laughed.
you guys think you are, Pink Floyd?
Right. They laughed at this antiquated, dusty, old radio gear we had.
Sure.
Well, yesterday at iHeart, the computer-driven and this computer-driven monolith to modern technology that we have, the computers here shit the bed.
Yeah.
Simultaneously
I was
at 5
listening.
o'clock. And every station we own went sideways for half an hour.
Yeah, it was awful.
It was terrible. And the engineers here, I haven't seen that many fat guys running around since Christmas Eve at the North Pole. You know what I'm saying? If they were wearing elf suits, it'd have been the North fucking Pole around here. And my boss was sitting in his office like, they laughed at our turntables and cart machines, didn't they?
Yeah.
Yeah. If we kept our shit, we'd still be on the air.
Yeah.
We'd still be playing the greatest music ever made.
Yeah,
But
guys,
you smart ass some bitches
hilarious.
with your computers, you know, it was.
I heard a repeated mattress commercial yesterday for about 10 minutes.
Really? Which one?
Yeah, it was just underneath. So you when I sent you a text saying what's going on?
Yeah.
And you're hitting me back. There was, I don't know, I couldn't tell. All I could hear was
You heard it 10 times, you couldn't tell who it was?
mattress, blah, 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 mattress. Well, it's because it was all this phase going on.
And
there was a song on top of it. There was literally 3 things going at the same time.
Exact same time, yeah.
They were all out of phase. And in addition, it was like they were half like underpowered. Everything was it was just really strange. But it sounded like Ceylons.
Yeah, we all went
By your
robotic.
command.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
Buck Rogers, yeah.
Right. So that commercial, the mattress commercial was like, buy a mattress and you will enjoy it. It was hilarious.
You've never seen more engineered panic. You've never seen more. It was crazy around here.
Yeah.
It's funny. As most of you may have heard by now.
Yeah, I was gonna say, are we gonna talk about this today?
just for a second.
Because what we can talk about.
Well, and we'll do just a quick, and I won't go deep into it.
Sure.
But we are for iHeartRadio, and it's publicly known and publicly traded. It's public knowledge now that iHeartRadio has been in debt trouble. They expanded their broadcast empire right before the last economic collapse.
Yeah.
So they were deep in debt for the last decade, and they have been in a point where
billions.
They run very successful radio stations. They've got like 800 some stations across the country, and they're successful, and they earn billions of dollars a year.
Yeah.
But it was all going to service the debt that they were under.
Yeah.
So it's recently they reorganized their debt.
Yeah.
They worked with their creditors and reorganized their debt and got out from underneath of it. Well, that news came to the corporate the company Chapter 11 yesterday.
Yeah.
The
same day.
And the same day that the computer takes a shit.
Yeah.
And we're all off the air at the same time.
Yeah.
And one of our other program directors, I won't name him or point him out. He's having a cow. And I deal with, panic with humor.
Yeah.
Like, well, that's what happens. You don't pay your bills, you go bankrupt. And he's like, he bit my head off.
Really?
That's not funny. It's 5 o'clock and
This is golden hour.
Well, we're
we're missing commercials and I can't make them up. We're sold out. Blah 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 blah.
and I'm just like, relax, Howdy. I'm like, I wasn't going to eat all 4 of my Quaaludes today. You want one?
I still want one. I got to try it someday.
I'm like, geez. So he came up and apologized. Oh, sorry, I overreacted. I was a little sorry. I was like, nah, dude, you don't have to apologize. Come on.
Yeah.
So I'm sorry I use humor as a shield.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah. It's got to be hard to be that upper middle management thing. You know what I mean?
Well,
those are the guys that get crushed.
In the redundancy zone of corporate rock.
Yeah.
It's tough to be those guys. Yeah.
So,
Yeah, you're my boss, but you know what? I'm not replaceable. You fucking are.
well, let me say this. I appreciate you. I love you. I love your heart. I love that you shared stuff that's going on, personal stuff, and I would ask our listeners to, I'm not going to sit here and say let's have a moment of silence, but I would tell you that, I would love to see your listeners do what they can. If there's a GoFundMe page or anything like that for
Luke Rohde, Lukerohde was his name. Thank you. That's sweet of you.
Yeah.
And it was a very serious session for you and I today, and I appreciate you letting me take art. And it doesn't matter if there was a mic in my hand or we recorded this.
Yeah.
You're my friend, and I was able. I thank you for letting me open myself up to something I need to get out of my system with my friend. And it's seriously, but take it with a pinch of salt, but not too much salt, because heart health is important. Okay, people? We want you to be around next time we're here.
And look, I wore a really tight shirt for you today.
Yeah, those buttons are about to pop off and take my eye out.